The stereotype has always been that young people lead the way in romance, but new data says otherwise. Before we continue, please subscribe, hit a like button, or leave a comment below. Thank you. Recent survey results from Britain have shaken long-held assumptions about who is the most sexually active. Conventional wisdom would suggest that young people in their late teens and early 20s are at the center of romantic activity. Yet the newest data reveals the opposite. Gen Z, defined here as those aged 18 to 26, are reporting far fewer encounters than their parents and even their grandparents. The survey, carried out by Lovehoney, found that Gen Z reported an average of only 36 intimate moments per year, which equals about once every 10 days. In contrast, people aged 61 to 79 reported 47 occasions a year. The notion of older adults leading more active romantic lives than their grandchildren has caught public attention and raised eyebrows across the country. The explanation, researchers suggest, lies in living arrangements. Housing costs have risen dramatically, and younger adults are staying at home longer than before. In many cases, this means less privacy and more restrictions on freedom. Parents may not mind, but for young adults, the idea of romance under the family roof can be uncomfortable, awkward, or even impossible. This new reality is sharply different from what previous generations experienced. Parents and grandparents often moved out at 18 or 19, gaining independence and the ability to build personal relationships without oversight. The younger generation, trapped by economic pressures, finds themselves unable to replicate that freedom. The result is what some experts are calling a sex recession among Gen Z. Instead of leading the statistics, they are now trailing behind their parents and grandparents. What was once assumed to be a natural part of youth culture has turned into a social puzzle that blends economics, privacy, and shifting cultural values. The generational differences become more striking when broken down further. Adults in their 40s, 50s, and early 60s, often referred to as Generation X, report an average of 62 intimate encounters per year, more than once a week. This puts them firmly ahead of Gen Z. Millennials, those aged between 27 and 43, are the clear leaders. Their reported average is 73 times per year, equal to once every 5 days. Researchers note that this age group often enjoys the independence of living in their own homes or apartments. With more privacy and more stability, millennials seem to be taking full advantage of their circumstances. The cultural image of university students as being at the center of wild nights and romantic adventures may no longer apply. Many campuses now report changes in how students socialize. Instead of packed nightclubs and heavy drinking during Freshers Week, many young adults now choose sober events, hobby groups, or wellness activities. These values reflect inclusivity and self-care, but they also reduce traditional opportunities for forming romantic connections. This shift in culture combines with economic limits to create a very different landscape. Students are often financially strained, living with family, or burdened by debt. The opportunity for independence that fuels romance simply isn't there, and the data reflects this clearly. Taken together, these comparisons show how the modern generation is missing what older groups still enjoy. The combination of independence, privacy, and cultural openness among millennials and Generation X appears to be fueling higher activity. Gen Z, by contrast, is caught between tradition and modern pressures, with results that surprise even experts. Sociologists emphasize that this is not just about numbers. It reflects a broader cultural change in how people view intimacy and relationships. Younger adults are more focused on digital interactions, relying on apps and social media rather than face-to-face encounters. While these tools provide convenience, they also introduce barriers. Digital conversations often lack the spontaneity of in-person connections. For many, this creates relationships that are more distant, less natural, and less likely to result in long-term intimacy. Meanwhile, older adults report renewed passion. Advances in healthcare, longer lifespans, and medical treatments contribute to maintaining physical health and confidence. These factors combine to keep intimacy alive even in later years. Baby boomers, for example, often report that with grown children and retirement approaching, they have more time to focus on themselves and their relationships. Freed from daily childcare responsibilities, they can rekindle passion and explore intimacy without interruption. The data shows that while Gen Z may be consumed with social media feeds, their grandparents are enjoying a second wave of romantic life. This inversion of expectations has become one of the most striking elements of the new study. Housing continues to emerge as a central factor in this discussion. A report revealed that nearly one-third of students applying for the 2024 to 25 academic year plan to live at home. This is more than double the number from 2 decades earlier. Privacy is a key driver of intimacy, and without it, opportunities decline. Young adults living at home are often uncomfortable with the idea of intimacy under the same roof as their parents. Embarrassment and lack of freedom play a large role. A young respondent named will describe the situation bluntly. He explained that his parents moved out at 18 or 19, and his grandparents did the same, but his generation cannot afford to do so. As a result, their relationships lack the same natural development. Meanwhile, their parents, the Generation X group, report consistent activity and satisfaction. With stable housing and financial independence, they are maintaining or even increasing their intimacy levels compared to their youth. The contrast between those with independence and those without creates a sharp divide. Gen Z is not necessarily less interested, but their circumstances prevent them from engaging in the same way. The results point to an ironic outcome. Millennials and older generations, often stereotyped as too busy, too tired, or too old, are actually the most active. Gen Z, often portrayed as adventurous and bold, is in fact the least active. Experts believe this has long-term consequences. Intimacy is linked to emotional health, relationship satisfaction, and overall well-being. If Gen Z maintains lower levels, it could shape how they approach family life and long-term partnerships in the future. The situation is not entirely bleak. As this generation gains financial independence, moves into their own homes, and experiences greater freedom, their activity levels may rise. The current numbers may reflect a temporary phase rather than a permanent shift. Still, the data highlights the need for broader conversations about independence, housing, and social pressures. For Gen Z, romance and intimacy are being shaped more by external circumstances than by personal choice. For now, one fact is clear: grandparents are leading the way. Their experiences show that passion and intimacy are not limited by age, and in many cases, they may even improve with time. The study not only challenges stereotypes, but also reminds us that love and connection remain vital at every stage of life. This is the end of that story. Now tell me in the comments, what's your story? I'll read out the most interesting ones in the next video. Do not forget to hit a like button and subscribe. See you.